Cheryl, having been in the shoes of those officers, being a police officer, what was your big takeaway from that video we just showed?
Well, as a police sergeant, I'm outraged. As a supervisor of patrol officers, I'm disgusted. That was an execution. We heard those officers threaten Mr. Sterling, and they did exactly what they said they were going to do. We're not trained or taught, and it shouldn't be tolerated where you confront someone. I don't care if they're disruptive or if they're not cooperating. You don't get to use expletives when you refer to them. You don't get to threaten them. I will shoot you in your effing head if you don't be still. We're not taught to execute and kill people because they don't comply, because they won't be still. And the fact that this officer was fired brings me no comfort. He needs to be charged with a criminal offense. He needs to be convicted of a criminal offense, because what happens is this officer may very well find himself in a week or two on another police department where obviously he's learned nothing here and do this very same thing again. We don't need another Alton Sterling. I'm outraged.
Oh, wow. Let's talk about Stephon Clark, because a lot of people are outraged over this case as well. Police, wanting to be transparent, they say, released the videos from that incident almost immediately, just a couple of days after the shooting itself happened. And now we have, Joey, this independent autopsy that has come out, a request that was from the family of not Alton Sterling, Stephon Clark, specifically showing he was mostly shot in the back and his side, and his leg seems to contradict what the police say happened, in that he was moving toward them when they opened fire. How does this play?
You know, Anna, this is what we call irrefutable evidence. We can talk about, the police can give a narrative as to what happened. They were fearful. He was approaching them. He had his hands up. He was in a stance towards them. But when you see evidence like this, does that not contradict that? I mean, in looking at an autopsy, which gives you an indication, you had the video, the screen right there, of exactly where he's hit. How does that jibe, or otherwise, how is that consistent with the narrative that you felt threatened, that you were in imminent fear?
But again, this was an independent autopsy. This wasn't the official autopsy by the coroner.
I get it, but so does the official coroner autopsy, would that say something different? I guess that's for a trial to decide.
That's what I wonder. Does it make a difference of who's doing it?
I think it makes a difference in terms of, you want to make sure that whoever's hands are on an autopsy, that it could be trusted by people who evaluate this. But let me tell you, in addition to the autopsy, briefly, what concerns me about this. When the police got the phone call on it, it was about vandalism of cars. That informs the judgment of the officers. It goes to their state of mind. They didn't get a call that there was a murderer on the loose, that there was someone rummaging and trying to get into buildings, that there was someone raping someone. It was vandalism. And then you go and you give the command to show your hands, and you say you thought it was a cell phone. Should someone be executed? Well, we know it's a cell phone after the fact, but should someone be executed for having a cell phone? And if strategically, you know, he appeared in a stance like this, then maybe you should have asked him to get onto the ground, and then you don't render aid after it. I mean, this is just a problem, and we have to address this. This is a divide across the country, and, you know, you could see and understand why the outrage is there. And God bless that community for coming together, taking a stance, and the Sacramento Kings for doing what they've been doing and being vocal about this. It has to stop.
Again, we mentioned the video, Cheryl, has been put out there. This independent autopsy result has come out. We don't have the details from the official autopsy done by the coroner. But what do you make of how the investigators have done their work and what information they've now revealed to the public?
Well, listen, a shot in the back is a shot in the back. And so I don't know what the official police department coroner autopsy is going to show, and I understand that police departments have a symbiotic relationship with the coroner, so I hope that it's not very contrary to what the independent autopsy showed. But these officers acted reckless and without regard. They were in a position of cover and concealment. They had an air unit overhead. There was no exigent circumstance that required or caused them to engage this young man if they suspected that he was involved in property damage only criminality. And so for them to execute him and fire 20 rounds, 8 of which struck him in the back, is outrageous. It's over the top. And for the police chief to say that he released the video to bring us comfort and then say he could understand or maybe provide a reason why they would mute their camera doesn't really sound like someone who's going to be transparent. It sounds more like circling of the wagons, and let's minimize and mitigate this shooting that should have never occurred.
Thank you both for the thoughtful discussion. Really great to have you both, Joey Jackson and Cheryl Dorsey. Have a great rest of the weekend. And coming up,
Thank you.